Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all for the class. In this class, we'll be going to discuss regarding another scheduling algorithm which is known as priority scheduling algorithm. Fine. So, as we have seen different scheduling algorithms, like we have seen first come first serve scheduling algorithm, shortest job first scheduling algorithm, like we call shortest job first as non-preemptive. When it comes to preemptive, like we call it as shortest remaining time first scheduling algorithm, right? And round robin scheduling algorithm, where we have employed a time slice of 2 milliseconds or 1 millisecond, so that each and every process is going to get a specific time without any delay. So that is the main motto of this round robin scheduling algorithm. And today we'll be going to discuss regarding another scheduling algorithm which is known as priority scheduling algorithm. So, as the name itself indicates, priority means giving highest preference. So, here in this priority scheduling algorithm, the number with the lowest value is going to have the highest priority. Fine. What I mean to say is like, suppose if you are having a process P1, P2, and P3. Fine. Process P2 is having third priority, process P1 is having 1, and process P1 is having 2. So these are all the priorities, right? So these are all the priorities. What I mean to say is, with less number is going to have the highest priority, is going to have the highest priority, and greater number is going to have the low priority. See here, number 1 is the less number, but it is going to have highest priority. Number 3 is the greatest number, but it is going to have the lowest priority. So that is the concept we'll be going to follow over here when we are going to consider the priorities. So as the name itself indicates, priority means giving highest preference to the process which is having the least number, in the sense we are going to give highest priority to that number. So as we have primitive and a non-preemptive, preemptive and non-preemptive is also there for priority scheduling. So priority non-preemptive scheduling, in the sense once we have allocated CPU for any of the process, so process P1, so this process has to exit out by itself, or we have to make the context switching. So these are the only two possibilities. But when it comes to the preemption, preemption in the sense once when we allocated a process to the CPU, preemption in the sense this process may be terminated by many of the reasons. So first reason may be lowest burst time, and second reason may be highest priority. Third reason may be like it is waiting for much of the time. So all these reasons would be considered. So based on these considerations, like we'll be going to preempt the process. Preemption in the sense we'll be going to force stoppably the process, and we are going to allocate CPU to another process, though that we call it as a preemption. So in this priority scheduling also, we'll be going to have two things, preemption and non-preemption. So this priority scheduling is most commonly used in batch systems. So that batch systems will be going to make use of this priority scheduling. Why? Because we have to do lots and lots of work. So if the less priority is going to take much of the time, then the highest priority is going to wait for lots and lots of time. So that's the reason in batch systems, which is going to be done faster, for that process we are going to give the highest priority. So this is mostly applicable in batch systems. So each process is assigned a priority. So as I have said, here process P1, P2 and P3 is there. For all the processes we are allocating this priority. Process P1 has allocated second priority, process P2 has allocated third priority, and process the P3 has allocated first priority. So process, suppose I'm having another process P4, and it is also having the priority 3. So here what I mean to say is processes with the same priority are executed in first come first serve basis. Here P2 is having the third priority and P4 is having the third priority. But out of P2 and P4, which came first? P2 process entered first. Here P2 process entered first. So with the same priority, we have to consider first come first serve. So that is in order to crack that hurdle between which process to execute first, like what we'll be going to normally follow is first come first serve. So priority can be decided based on the memory requirements, like suppose if P1 process is going to occupy less memory, so it is going to give highest or the lowest priority. So based on the memory requirements, based on the time requirements, suppose here for each and every processes, as we have seen in the previous example, we are going to have the burst times. Burst times is nothing but the time required for a process to complete its whole task. Suppose here the process P1 burst time is 3, process P2 burst time is 6, and process P3 burst time is 10. Here process P1 burst time is 13. So which is having the least burst time? Process P2 is going to have the least burst time. So based on that burst times also we can give the priority, so that if you are giving a first chance to the least burst time, so that it will complete soon and it is going to take another chances. So this is how, by based on the memory requirements, based on the burst times and any other resource requirements, we will be going to allocate a priority to the processes. This is how the basic funda of the priority scheduling algorithm is. Here also we have to see in each and every algorithm, if arrival time has given, we have to check the arrival times. So and then we have to check the priority. When it comes to the round robin scheduling algorithm, what we have seen, arrival time plus the time slice we have seen, fine. But here in this, what we have to check is, we have to check both the arrival times as well as the priority what it has been given. So as we have said you before, like there are different types of priorities. So priority is divided into two: preemptive scheduling and non-preemptive scheduling. Preemptive scheduling is nothing but not, we cannot stop. We, so primitive means we can stop in the middle. Non-preemptive in the sense we cannot stop. We cannot stop in the middle until unless it completed its task. We cannot stop in the middle. Preemptive in the sense we can stop. So in preemptive scheduling, the tasks are mostly assigned with the priorities. As we all know, in priority scheduling in the sense we will be going to allocate the priorities. Sometimes it is important to run the task with the highest priority before another lower priority. Suppose if 3 and 6 are there, we will be going to give importance to the third one instead of giving importance to the sixth one. So that is the preemptive scheduling. Non-preemptive scheduling in the sense, if once we have allocated a process to the CPU, suppose if 6 has been allocated a process to the CPU, it has to exit out by itself, or a context switching should be done. So this is the non-preemptive scheduling. So these are the two different types of scheduling: preemptive scheduling and non-preemptive scheduling. We'll be going to see the example both for the preemptive scheduling and the non-preemptive scheduling. So what are the characteristics of a priority scheduling? So the important major characteristics of a priority scheduling are, the first and the foremost thing is, it is based on the priority rather than anything else. And it is used in operating system performing the batch system. So as I have said you before, batch systems means like we used to have lots of work. So all similar tasks are grouped into batches. So for that batch, we'll be going to giving the priority. So if two jobs having the same priority in the ready queue, what we'll be going to do? We'll be going to make use of first come, first serve in order to crack that hurdle. And in priority scheduling, the number assigned to each process indicates the priority level. So we are assigning 3, 6, 9 like that. So 3, 6, 9, all those indicates the priority. So lower the number, higher the priority. As I have said you before, if 3 and 6 in the sense, if 3 is the lower number, this is having the highest priority. Higher the number, we used to have the lowest priority. So this type of algorithm, if a newer process arrives that is having the highest priority, then the currently running process, is preempted. So if 6 is running, if 6 is running in the CPU, then if 3 comes in the sense, we'll be going to stop the 6 and we'll be going to allocate that CPU to the third process. So this is how the primitive and non-primitive scheduling based on the priority is going to be done. Now we'll be going to see an examples of primitive and non-primitive scheduling algorithms. So here I'll be writing over here. I'll be going to draw the chart over here in order to have the better convenience. So this is the priority scheduling non-primitive. Non-primitive in the sense you cannot stop until it completes. Non-primitive in the sense you cannot stop until it completes. So here all 5 processes are there. The burst times are 10, 1, 2, 1 and 5, and the priorities are 3, 1, 4, 5 and 2. So these are the priorities we have to consider. Fine. First, here arrival times are not given. Here arrival times are not given. So arrival times are not given in the sense now all these processes are there in the which queue? All these processes are there in the ready queue. So all these processes are there in the ready queue. Now what you have to check? You have to check the priorities of the process. You need not check the arrival times of the process. Why? Because here as the arrival time is not given, it means that now all the processes are there in the ready queue. Now you have to check the priorities of the process. So starting from 0, like priority, like which process is going to have. Suppose if the priorities or arrival times, if the arrival times of the process has given in this program, in the problem, in the sense you have. So if arrival times are not given, you have to check the processes which are there in the ready queue, right? So here process P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, all are there in the ready queue. So among all the process which is having the least priority, here the process P2 is having the highest priority and process P4 is having the least priority. So here what I have said to you is lower the number, highest the priority, and higher the number, lowest is the priority. So here lower the number in the sense 1 is the lowest one. So higher the priority, So lower the number, higher the priority. So 1 is going to have the highest priority. So 1 in the sense P2 process. Now P2 process will come. Now P2 process will come and execute for how many milliseconds? Its burst time is 1 millisecond. So executes for 1 millisecond. And next, so P1 process completed. So this one completed. And which is having the second highest priority? P5 process is having the second highest priority. P5 process will enter and executes for what is the burst time of this P5 process? Here the burst time of the P5 process is 5. So 5, 1 plus 5, that is equals to till 6 minutes P5 process will execute. And next, so P5 also completed. Next, which is having the highest priority? P1 is going to have the highest priority. And what is the burst time of P1? It is 10. That is 6 plus 10, which is equals to 16 milliseconds. What I mean to say is P1 got chance at 6 milliseconds. Till 6 milliseconds it is waiting. So 6 milliseconds it has waited. So that time plus how much time it is needed to complete its task? 10 milliseconds. 6 plus 10 is 16 milliseconds it is needed in order to complete the task of P1. So here P1 also completed. Next, what is the process which is having the highest priority? Next, P3 is the process which is having the highest priority. P3 waited for 16 milliseconds. At 16 milliseconds, P3, we are giving a CPU to P3 at 16 milliseconds. And in order to complete the task, how many milliseconds it needed? 2 milliseconds. That means 16 plus 2, totally 8 milliseconds are needed in order to complete the task of P3. And P3 also completed. And next one, last one is the P5. So P5 will enter into the queue. So P5 till 18 milliseconds P5 has been waiting. And how many milliseconds? Sorry, P4. So fifth priority is having the P4 process. So at how many milliseconds it is needed to complete its task? 1 milliseconds. That is 19 milliseconds. So this is how we'll be going to calculate the non-preemptive priority scheduling algorithm. So first what we are going to do is we'll be going to check the processes for priority, and then you will be going to see which process is going to have the highest priority, which is having the highest priority, that is going to be executed first. This is how the priority scheduling with non-preemptive is going to be executed. Clear? So now we'll be going to see the preemptive priority scheduling algorithm. So this is the non-preemptive scheduling algorithm, and now we'll be going to see the preemptive scheduling algorithm. So this is the preemptive scheduling algorithm. Fine. So in this preemptive scheduling algorithm, in the sense, primitive in the sense, we can stop in the middle. We can stop in the middle. So that is the primitive scheduling algorithm. So what are the chances here in the sense, a process, suppose if P1 process is executing in the CPU and P1 process is having sixth priority, and when it is executing by the CPU, and at that time P2 process came which is having the priority 2. So what we'll be going to do is we'll be going to stop this P1 process and give chance to P2 process. So that is the preemption. So how you will be going to, we'll be going to check over here. So here the numbers are 4, 2, 3, 5, 1, 4 and 6. Fine. This is how you will be going to have the arrival times and the burst times. This is the priority, and these are the processes you are having. So here I'll be going to draw another one so that you will be going to understand clearly. Fine. So first what we have to see is, first we have to see the arrival times. Fine. Arrival times. So at 0th arrival time, which process came? P1 process came. At that 0 at the time, any process came into queue? No. So what we have to do? Compulsorily we have to give chance for that P1 process only. Why? Because at 0th millisecond only P1 process is there in the queue. So at 0th millisecond we will be going to give chance for the P1 process. So P1 process executes till 1 millisecond. At 1 millisecond we have to check any other process came or not. So at 1 millisecond P2 process came. So listen carefully, at 1 millisecond P2 process came. Now you have to check the priorities of P2 and P1. Which is having the highest priority? P2 is having the highest priority. 6 and 5. So process with less number is going to have the highest priority. So we'll be going to allow P2 process to execute for another millisecond of time. So 2. At 2 milliseconds, we have to check any process came into the queue. Yes, at 2 milliseconds, P3 process came. So what is the priority of this P3 process? It is 4. And what is the priority of the P2 process? It is 5. But 4 is the having the highest priority. So we are allocating P3 process into the CPU. We are making P3 process to execute. P3 process will continue for another millisecond. At P3, any process came? Yes. At P3, process P4 came. We have to check, as P3 is there, is now currently executing by the CPU. P3 is having the fourth priority, and now while executing P4 came, P4 is having the first priority. So what you will be going to do? You will be going to context switch. That means you will be going to allocate CPU to this P4 process and stop this P3 process. Now P4 process will be going to give the CPU. It will execute for 1 more millisecond. At 4 millisecond, which process came? P5 process came. Before that, P4 process is currently executing by the CPU. Now we have to check the priorities of 3 and 1, which is having uh, uh, the highest priority, that we have to check. So if the process which is having the highest priority, so at 4 milliseconds, which process came into existence? At 4 milliseconds, P5 process came. But P5 process having the third priority and P4 process having the first priority. So we'll continue P4 process again. We'll continue P4 process again till another millisecond. At 5 millisecond, which process came? P6 process came. We have to check the priorities between 5 and 6. 6 is having the 0 priority and 5 is having the third priority. So we have to give preference to the P6 process. Now P6 process will come. So it will execute, uh, execute till 6 milliseconds. At 6 millisecond, which process came? P7 process came. Fine. But P7 process is having the second priority and P6 process is having the 0 priority. So what we'll be going to do? We'll be going to allocate for P6 process only. Fine. So if it is having the least priority, fine. So you will be going to terminate that one and we will be going to give a chance to the highest priority. So as 0 is, now all the processes are there in the ready queue. Now all the processes are there in the ready queue. Fine. Now you need not consider which process will come at what time. Now all the processes are there in the ready queue. You have to follow the non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. So you have to check the priorities and then you have to execute the task. Now at 6 milliseconds, 7th process came, but 6 is having the highest priority. As 0 is having the highest priority, we will make P6 for run for 7 milliseconds. No, at 7 milliseconds any process is there? No process is there. So what we'll be going to do? We'll continue for 4 milliseconds. That means this P6 process will execute for 4 milliseconds. From 4 till 8 until 9, this P6 process will only execute. Fine. See here. So P6 process will only execute still 4 milliseconds from 5 to 9. As the burst time of P6 process is 4, we will be going to give 4 milliseconds. From 5 to 9, only P6 process will execute. So now P6 process completed its task. Now P6 process completed its task. We have to remove. Why? Because its burst time is been completed. Now which process is going to have the highest priority? Now P4 process. Why? Because it is 1. 1 is having the highest priority. So we have to give, so here one process P1 entered at 0 to 1. Here it has completed 1 millisecond. So what we'll be going to do is, here we'll be going to give chance to the process P1. So now which process has been entered here, now which is going to have the least time, burst time, that process we have to check out that process. See here, when it comes over here, here P4 has done 2 milliseconds of time. P4 has done 2 milliseconds of time, 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. So we are going to strike out 5 and we have written 3. So how many time left for P4? It has been, burst time is left of 3 milliseconds. Now it is now at 9 millisecond P4 process will come and executes for how many milliseconds? 3 milliseconds. So 9 plus 3 is 12. So this is also completed. P4 also completed. So P4 also completed. Next, what is the next process which is having the least burst time? Next, it is the 2. 2 means P7 process. Next, P7 process will come. So P7 process will come. So here we will be going to have a burst time of 6 milliseconds. So 12 plus 6 is 18 milliseconds P7 process will come. So this P7 is also we completed. Next, which is having the third priority is the fifth process. Now we'll allocate fifth process. So we have to see P5 burst time is 1 millisecond. So from 18 to 19 P5 will do, and this P5 also completed. And next, what is the fourth priority process is P3. Next, P3 will come into execution. So here P3 we have done. So P3 needs 3 milliseconds. Here P3 we have done 1 milliseconds of time. So 2 milliseconds has been left. So from 19 to 21 P3 will be going to do. So P3 also completed. And next one is P2. P2 will enter into the session. Here P2 burst time is 2 milliseconds, but here P2 we have done 1 millisecond of time. So 1 millisecond is left. So from 22 to 21 to 22 P2 will do. And after P2, which is having the least priority is P1. So now P1 will enter. P1 will enter, and P1 has completed here. P1 needs actually 4 milliseconds of burst time, but here P1 completed 1 millisecond of time. So P1 is left with 3 milliseconds of time. So P1 will execute till 25 milliseconds of time. This is how you will be going to have a priority between the different processes. Primitive in the sense we are going to stop in the middle. If any process is having the highest priority, we'll let that process to execute, and we'll be going to give priority through the highest priority process. This is how we will be going to calculate the different priorities for the processes. Now how to calculate the completion time? Completion time of P1 process is 25 milliseconds. Completion time of P2 process is 22 milliseconds. Completion time of P3 process is 21 millisecond. Completion time of P4 process is 12 milliseconds. Completion time of P5 process is 19 milliseconds. Completion time of P6 process is 9 milliseconds. Completion time of P7 process is 18 milliseconds. So this is the completion time. How we will be going to find out the turnaround time? Turnaround time is equals to completion time minus arrival time. So this is the formula for turnaround time. And next you will be going to calculate the waiting time. Waiting time is equals to turnaround time minus burst time. This will be going to give the waiting time. Like this you will be going to calculate different times for the processes that has been arrived. So this is the example of preemptive scheduling. And what are the advantages of priority scheduling is that, so it is easy to use scheduling method. Each process are executed on the basis of priority. So high priority does not wait for the long amount of time. High priority in the sense it is an important process. So important process, so we shouldn't wait the important process for a long time. So that's the reason we are giving highest priority for the important process. It is a good mechanism and is very much defined easily. It is suitable for fluctuating time resources requirements. So these are the advantages. Disadvantages is, so here also this priority scheduling is suffering with starvation. Starvation in the sense, when one process is executing, if the priority, if high priority process came in the sense, that process has to stop in the middle. So like that, a starvation is going to become. How we are going to avoid starvation in the sense? By making use of aging. Aging in the sense, we will be going to decrement by one if one process has been executed by the CPU. Like that, if the one process is having the 6 means, for one execution it will come 5, another execution 4, another execution 2 and 1. Finally it is going to get the highest priority. So we'll allow this process to execute. So highest priority takes lots of TPU time, then the low priority process must start. Suppose process P1 is having highest priority, but it needs 100 milliseconds of time. And process P2 is having lowest priority, it needs 2 milliseconds of time. So here comes the problem. Even though process P1 is having the highest priority, it needs burst time is more, but the P2 burst time is less. At this situation, it is a very drawback. So when a process is blocked, when it is ready to run, it has to wait in the CPU, because only highest priority processes are allowed to run. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of priority scheduling algorithm. So based on the priority, we'll be going to make the jobs to run in the CPU. So it also suffers from starvation. Starvation in the sense, keep on waiting stage, we call it as a starvation. How we are going to avoid starvation in the sense? By making use of aging concept, we'll be going to avoid the starvation. So that's all for today. Thank you, students. We'll meet in the next class. Have a nice day.